Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Real, where in this edition we will once again be reviewing another edition of WandaVision. This week's episode of WandaVision was really something. It started off with Agatha in Salem in the late 1600s, where she is tied to a pole, and these witches don't like that she's getting more powerful or something, so they shoot blue beams at her. But since Agatha's stronger, her beam is purple and she kills all of them. And she like sucks their life force out or something, or because it reminded me of the Mummy. Whenever Imhotep would, you know, kind of do the same thing where he would like take their skin and just leave them like as a carcass. That's kind of what Agatha did to everyone in the circle. And then she takes the pin from her mother and blasts off into space like Iron Man. So then, carrying on in the episode, what we see next is Wanda, being incapacitated. And, she's in this state that we haven't really seen her in. So, you know, there was something there. And she's being held by Agatha, who's trying to figure out how her powers work. And she's just trying to get more information from Wanda about her magic. And she has like this spell using runes set up so Wanda can't use her abilities. And in order to learn more about Wanda, she decides to take a stroll down memory lane. And we start off by going to the scene that Wanda and Pietro told Ultron in Age of Ultron about whenever the Stark bomb fell in their house, apartment, whatever, and they were too scared to move because they were there for 2 days. And, you know, this was something that we already knew, something that we didn't really have to see. So the fact that they included it makes me believe that they did it for a reason and that at some point we will come back to this. Otherwise, it was a waste of time. Next, after that, we fast forward to whenever Wanda's in the Hydra base and she is introduced or just put into she comes out. This is when Wanda first comes in contact with the Mind Stone, and it's kind of played off as one of those did it happen, did it not happen kind of things, because from what we see, she goes over to the Loki scepter, which inhabits the Mind Stone, and as she walks closer to it, it floats and it comes towards her, and then the blue turns to yellow, and the Mind Stone explodes all over her. However, we also see cam footage from these scientists, Hydra agents, doctors, whatever, and whenever they see the footage, you see her walk into the room, and then it kind of like skips and she faints. So it's one of those did it happen, did it not happen type things. But also, she's also sees the silhouette of the Scarlet Witch from how we know her from the comic books. And then next we see Wanda with Vision whenever she's in the Avengers compound. And it's this was probably my favorite part of the episode because they're both in completely different places. Wanda, she's in a new country. She lost her family. She lost her brother. She doesn't really necessarily have friends. I don't because at that it's somewhere in between Age of Ultron and Civil War, and I don't think she sees the rest of the Avengers as friends, probably just as teammates. And Vision, who's still very new to life, and she kind of explains what's happening on. She's watching an episode of Malcolm in the Middle, and they kind of like have some back and forth. And Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany have good chemistry, and it's very nice. It's a very nice scene, and it's very tender. And then also they kind of learn something from each other. So I thought it was a nice, very nice scene, very well done. Next, we get Wanda visiting Sword, which raised a lot of questions for me because whenever we see it, she goes to Sword and then she meets with Hayward, and Hayward shows her the state that Vision is in, and that's how we see that he's all jumbled up all over the operation tables. And obviously that's a lot for her to see because as with anyone, it would suck to see a loved one in that state. And he's basically like, you can't take him. So surprisingly, she just leaves, uh, and she gets in her car and she sees an envelope, and she kind of just like looks at it as like, oh, whatever, and then drives to Westview. And then we see some of the characters from the show before they were on the show in their normal everyday life. And then Wanda goes over to like a site of what is that supposed to be the house, and then she explodes and she dies. And then the credits roll and you're left very disappointed because you wonder what it was all for. I'm joking. So Wanda, well, she does explode, but it's just her powers, and that's how we see the town transform into the Westview that we've been watching. And then not only that, she refabricates Vision, but as she's doing it, her power, the energy is red, but whenever she's doing it, you see a little bit of yellow. So I just kind of wondered, like that's part of the Mind Stone, obviously, but I just wonder, like, so does that mean that part of Vision is with also part of her? Because she got her powers from the Mind Stone, and Vision himself came from the Mind Stone, as did Ultron. So it's like, how did that? What is? I mean, maybe it's nothing more than a little detail, but I just wonder, like, oh, that was interesting that went that far to they went that far to animate that. So then, um, yeah. So then after that, Wanda, is back to where she's supposed to be in Westview, and the episode ends with Agatha choking her children as if they were dogs on a leash. And yeah, I don't know how they got away with that one, but that's what happens. And then she goes on about chaos magic, and she's like, "Oh, you're the Scarlet Witch." So it just makes me wonder, like, are they going to treat the Scarlet Witch like just as a mantle or like a title that someone can earn, similarly to Doctor Strange? Similarly to the Sorcerer Supreme being earned by a certain Doctor Strange in the comics, and I imagine in the movies coming forward. So there was a lot to take away from this episode because, once again, it raises more questions, but at the same time, maybe we're just reading too far into it. I have my notes here, and I was a little upset that there was no real payoff to where the last episode ended in terms of the characters and where they were at, because what we saw from the last episode was that at the end of the last episode, Agatha takes Wanda downstairs into the basement, and whenever that happens, it cuts to Vision, who was supposed to be flying on his way to the house, and also Darcy was also on her way to the house, and Monica Rambeau was already there because she had opened the doors to the basement. But as soon as she was about to step in there, Quicksilver appeared, and he's like, "What are you doing snooping around?" So I was really hoping that we would get to see where that was supposed to go in this episode. So we're not there yet, but I really hope that this goes on to something. And Hayward is still very suspicious. He's not off the hook yet. He's still on my suspect list because, as we see in this episode, I'm not sure if it's a retcon or if this is something completely else, something completely different, because we see that in the past episode he showed us security footage of Wanda reaching in and breaking Vision's body out. But from what we saw in this episode, she went in and she left. So it makes me wonder, is he trying to push an agenda? Is he trying to get his team to think one thing so they can continue doing whatever it is he wants them to do? Or is it just Wanda not being a narrator we can trust? Because, or maybe it is just Hayward trying to push an agenda uh, because it's what is his goal? We don't know, because he has Vision's body. So how is it that Vision? Never mind. But he has Vision's body. So speaking of him having Vision's body, as we continue to know that there's another version of Vision, the all white Vision that we see in the post credit scene, and white Vision, vanilla Vision, whatever it is you want to call him. Is this the Vision that he has that they reconstructed? Did they reconstruct it, or did they just make their own? Or did he just scrap the old Vision for parts and just use that to make this one? Because, it's very confusing as to what it is that they're trying to tell us. And also, I kind of hope we get a Vision versus Vision fight, because I think that'd be pretty cool. But I know that they're two different entities, but from the comics, from what I can remember, this version of Vision, the all white vanilla Vision, this Vision is different from the Vision that we know and love, because this one is he's more machine. He's more of a machine than an android, because he's kind of emotionless, and he's like, I guess, soulless, because he doesn't, like I said, he's more of a machine than the android that we know and like, that we've seen so far. Kind of makes me sad, because as seeing that she constructed this Vision inside the hex, as we saw in this episode, and a few episodes ago we saw him trying to leave, and it looked like parts of him were being sucked back into the hex, because he was kind of being destroyed, because he can't exist outside of the hex. Kind of hits the nail on the head about whenever this is all said and done, Vision is probably still going to be dead. Well, that version of Vision is probably still going to be dead, and her children probably are as well. And also, we also come to learn about Agatha, that, it's confirmed that Wanda created Westview, but she created the hex around Westview, but Agatha's still the one that's been responsible for all the things that have been happening inside. So she's still the one that was manipulating certain events to happen. And she also says that, well, I don't, does she say it, or maybe it's just whatever, but she says that Pietro, she talks about Pietro, she says that it was, she like possessed him, because she couldn't get she had to go get the body, and she couldn't get the body because for one, it's dead, and then secondly, it's full of bullet holes. So she said that she was going to have to possess. So that makes me wonder, like, so how did she find Evan Peters? Because Evan Peters is Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, but she also says that, but because he exists in a whole nother universe, did she jump to another universe to get him? Or did she just get some random guy? Is he just like an actor or what? Like, I'm not sure what to think about that, because they still haven't explained how he got there. So, yeah, I guess we'll have to sit and see what they do with that. And also, yeah, there's still no surprise cameo that they've been talking about. So I guess we'll see what that is. I'm still hoping for Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange showing up doing some magic, but I feel like it could just be a misdirection like they've been doing this whole time, and it's really just White Vision, and it's Paul Bettany, and Paul Bettany. We have two different Paul Bettany's in the next episode, but I really do hope we get a Vision versus Vision fight at some point, and it's interesting to see what the next episode's gonna be like, because I'm not sure if it's this that's supposed to be the final one that wraps everything up, or if there's gonna be another episode after that. There's a lot of conflicting reports out there, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what they end up doing with that. Yeah, so it was interesting that Wanda created her own vision. Maybe that's why the show's called WandaVision, because it's Wanda's vision, and that is why she created this whole other vision, and that would also explain why this vision has no memories of anything before Westview. But also, I could have swore, this is why I say it might have been a retcon, because I also remember in earlier episodes that they claimed that Westview never existed, but we very clearly saw Wanda drive into Westview. So I don't know. I feel like that's I don't know. Is it a retcon, or are they just trying to mess with us, or are they? Never mind. Whatever. I don't even know what to believe anymore. If there's one thing I know about this show is, it seems like they go one way and then they go the other. But yeah, I don't know. I'll just wrap it up there because I don't know. I don't really feel like I feel like I'll just come up with more questions or just keep asking questions, and that's not the point of this. So yeah, those are just my thoughts, comments, uh, things I noticed, and I'll just wrap it up here. So thanks for hanging out. My name is Beyond the Real. You've been great, and leave this video a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll be back soon, and we hope you'll stick around and be ready for it. All right, thank you.